Zidane Danny, Electro Ninja here, and welcome back to Electro Ninja's Lab. In today's video, we are back to My Hero Academia. The new season has just started, and I know that so many of you guys are as excited as I am to see what this new season has in store for us. Now, like many of the previous seasons, this season starts off with a transitional episode, basically reintroducing the cast, getting everyone reacquainted, and it's a completely new anime only episode. Which, honestly, let me just make something clear: these episodes are considered canon, so keep that in mind. Okay, now I do want to talk about this episode in quite a lot of detail. So if you guys haven't watched it, please go and watch it because I will be spoiling some things here. But just a reminder that this last season kind of ended at a weird point. Unlike previous seasons where it is able to end right at the end of a fight or whatever, this one kind of ended in the middle of a fight, which I know isn't super obvious, but yes, this season season 4 did end at the basically at the middle of a fight. After Endeavor defeats the Nomu, there's actually a second fight, an actually pretty short one, but still a fight nonetheless, where Endeavor and Hawks face off against Dabi for a brief moment before Dabi retreats. Basically, all he is there to do is to inform them that he is there and that he is going to be watching them. There is still a little bit of a fight that's left to come, and it's clear from the ending of the episode that that is going to be the main focus, with some anime only bits in the next episode as well. And we'll get into all of that when that episode comes around. But yeah. Oh boy. Freaking oh, this I do have to say though, before we actually go on to that, I actually think that they actually handled the reveal that Hawks isn't a bad guy a lot better in the manga, because from what it's looking, the way that they actually handle it in the anime is kind of weird. Basically, we see Hawks going up to Dabi in kind of we're not really certain exactly what's happening, but it looks from the preview that he's going to be discussing with the actual group, so we might actually know straight off the bat that Hawks is just doing this to as a mission. I don't remember exactly if that was actually clearly stated in the manga, but we'll talk about that when that whole part comes up. So, yeah. But as for this anime-only episode, starts off with just a simple introduction where all of the kids are just sitting around talking about the big fight from last time. Basically a recap of what happened in the previous episode, which I think handled it pretty well, actually. So, yeah. But then the rest of the episode is a training mission, which I do have to say is actually a really interesting way to handle it. Having a drill to basically say, okay, it's time for you to practice combat, it honestly was a really good way to handle it. And honestly, it was actually really fun to get to see all of that take place. And seeing the characters working together to fight the big three, basically. And also to save Togata. Oh, I still find it absolutely insane. Just Togata's acting was just hilarious. And also getting to see them, basically they're able to fight to get, if they fight together, they are actually able to stand up against two out of the three big three, with Togata being the only one that they're not able to stand up against because they had no idea what his quirk was. Oh, but there's a lot to that, and I don't want to get into all of that conversation right now. But yeah, Togata is definitely an interesting character, to say the least. Um, oh my gosh. Oh, anyways, guys, let's talk about, well, this whole fight. Honestly, it was really interesting to say the least. All of these characters able to use their strengths to the best possible way. Honestly, I think this fight where we get to see all of them using their quirks is almost as good as how they actually handled the big fights of the second movie. That whole situation was absolutely insane in the movie, but this also has a good way because it shows each of their how each of them can effectively use their quirks to the best potential, while also making sure that those who get way too much screen time anyways are actually not super involved with this. Really the only characters basically characters like Deku, Bakugo, Todoroki, Ingenium, or Ida, and basically it mostly showed all of the characters that don't really get that much screen time. And honestly, I thought that was a really well done method. Obviously, they've done it in the past, but honestly, this was the probably the best way that they could have handled it. And I honestly think that this is the best anime only episode that we've had so far. So, yeah. Honestly, we kind of expected this to happen, and getting to see just how they handled it for this season was actually really fun. But obviously, this is not the major contributor to this series. The real thing that we need to talk about is the ending, which honestly, holy crap, this ending was absolutely insane. We get to see briefly, after everyone's kind of settled down and stuff, that Endeavor is resting, he's exhausted, and all of this stuff. And that is how they reveal the fact, through his memory, how they're actually, how the whole Dobby fight happened. The fact is that the way that they actually handled moving from season to season was a bit tricky because of the fact that they didn't really put it into the correct placement exactly. So having it be a moment where he's actually reliving it in his mind is actually really smart in my opinion. And I'm actually really excited to see how they go about with that in the next episode. But yeah, and then we obviously see Hawks going up to see Dobby, which that's going to be intense. And honestly, I'm really excited. But the thing is that we really need to discuss is the fact that at the end of the episode, with the thing about the next episode, we actually see that this episode is actually going to be talking about quite a lot, actually. Starting off with, obviously, the Dobby versus Endeavor versus all of that fight, but it's also going to be dealing with the conversation between Hawks and Dobby, which happens afterwards while he's recovering. And honestly, that's really interesting, and I want to talk more about that, but unfortunately, we can't really do too much about that. And finally, it's going to have the reveal that all of the quirks are within Deku, which, honestly, that is the part that I am most excited for. Now, obviously, this episode may have a lot, but it's actually not as much as you may think. I mean, you see all of that stuff in the preview, but it's really not as intense as you actually may think. So, yeah, I don't know. There's a lot to it, and I don't want to get into all of that right now, but yeah. Now, I do actually want to briefly discuss the actual opening and endings. Obviously, the endings are a bit, it wasn't too interesting, but the opening is actually kind of weird. The new opening shows off all of the cast, all of the main cast, but then for some reason it doesn't show off that much from the Class B cast, which I understand to a certain extent. They don't want to reveal all of the quirks through the opening, but I don't know, it's just kind of interesting that they don't show off those that have already been seen. Like, Monoma using one of someone else's quirks, or Kendo using the big fists, or Steely Boy. I don't Tetsu using steel powers. I don't know. Certain things like that would have been really interesting. But I do absolutely have to say that I loved the moment of Shinso just walking by, kind of looking a little bit depressed, but honestly it was kind of interesting to see just they really focus on him, which is actually really important because this arc is not really an arc for anyone else. Like, yes, it does do a lot for Deku, but a lot of what this arc is about is more about Shinso and him getting to see what his power can do and all of that jazz. And honestly, I'm really excited to see how they're actually going to play with him. Like, they could do a lot more with him now that he's animated than what they could do in the actual manga. And honestly, I'm excited to see how exactly they're going to play with him. I don't know. There's a lot to it, and I'm needless to say, I'm really excited to see this arc. It's one of the best training arcs that we get in the season or in the show. So yeah. And also, I just want to say I know that a lot of you guys are going to be as excited as I am for next arc. Oh, the final arc of this season is going to be so insane. Everyone agrees that the villain arc is absolutely one of the best arcs in the entire series. And I'm so excited to get to see that. Needless to say, it does look like there's going to be some really intense stuff, but I do want to say right now that this first arc is probably not going to go beyond the actual battles, and it might like the song may go a little bit further, but it's probably not going to be too much. Probably only going a little bit in depth with the whole Todoroki and Bakugo getting their license stuff. Maybe that will still be connected with this, but I honestly have no idea. More than likely, that will be considered the next arc, which it is in the anime, so there you go. Or in the manga. I don't know. There's a lot to it, and honestly, some little works around that's actually kind of a good thing, in all honesty. And I do want to briefly say again that this episode was basically a workaround, figuring out how to actually get these pieces to work properly with the fact that this is a new season and they kind of have to twist some things to make sure that everything fits into place. But I don't know. We'll see how things turn out in the future episodes. But anyways, guys, let me know what you guys thought of this episode down in the comments below. I'm honestly really intrigued to know what you guys think and how excited you guys are for the new season to begin. And of course, if you did enjoy this video, please make sure to leave a like, leave your thoughts and theories down in the comments below. If you are going to leave a theory, make sure to say theory review somewhere in your comment. And also, quick thing, if you are going to leave a theory about the anime only, then quick thing, it may not be accurate. I can actually confirm or deny these things, and I don't want to. If you guys have any theories specifically about the anime, please do not leave them down in the comments below, because I already know what happens in this arc. So, obviously you can leave them, but they're not getting responded to. Just saying. So, yeah. Anyways, guys, hopefully you guys have enjoyed this episode and are looking forward to seeing this season, Season 5 of My Hero Academia, as it continues, and will enjoy it along with me and the rest of the team to see how things go out. Of course, make sure that you subscribe and ring that notification bell if you aren't, and it would be really helpful. And of course, if you do want to support the channel even more, then definitely head down to the description and check out all of our links down there, including our other 2 channels, our social medias, and ways that you can support us financially, including our Patreon, our merch store, and the book. And a big thank you to our current patron, Sheeny. But anyways, guys, I've been Electro Ninja, and I will see you guys next time. But on!